I never thought I'd have to protect myself from my own family, but sitting in my parents' living room that Sunday afternoon, I realized how wrong I'd been. I'm Sarah Mitchell, 32, and up until last month, I was the family fixer, the responsible one, the walking ATM. My younger brother James, 28, was the golden child who could do no wrong, even when he was clearly doing everything wrong. Sarah, you have to understand, Mom pleaded, her hands wrapped around her coffee mug so tightly her knuckles were white. James is going through a rough patch. He just needs a little help getting back on his feet. A little help, that's what they always called it. First, it was his college tuition when he dropped out after 2 years, $30,000 gone. Then his business venture selling NFTs, another $20,000 vanished. Each time, they assured me it was the last time. Each time, I believed them. I took a sip of my now cold coffee, trying to calm my racing heart. The familiar family photos stared down at me from the walls. James's graduation from the college I paid for. His business launch party, funded by my savings, his engagement celebration that I helped finance. My own achievements, my MBA, my promotion to senior financial analyst at Morton & Reed, my recent award for top performer, or conspicuously absent. How much? I asked, already knowing I wouldn't like the answer. Dad cleared his throat, shuffling the papers in front of him. Well, Princess, James has some outstanding debts. About $75,000. The room started spinning. $75,000? What kind of debts? Just some business investments that didn't pan out, Mom said quickly. Too quickly. But he has a plan to pay it all back. He just needs startup capital for his new venture. I looked between them, these people who raised me, who taught me about responsibility and hard work, now asking me to throw away my life savings on their golden child's latest scheme. Show me the debts, I said firmly. I want to see exactly what I'm being asked to pay for. They exchanged glances, a quick, nervous look that sent warning bells ringing in my head. That's not necessary, Dad said, pushing a different set of papers toward me. We've already drawn up the transfer documents. Your brother's lawyer helped prepare them. I picked up the papers, scanning them with growing disbelief. They weren't just asking for a loan. They wanted me to transfer my entire savings account to James. My hard-earned money, saved carefully over years of overtime and missed vacations, would become his to manage. This is ridiculous, I said, putting the papers down. I'm not signing over my savings without seeing proof of these debts. Family comes first. Mom's voice rose sharply. Your brother needs this. After everything we've done for you, everything you've done for me, I couldn't help but laugh. I worked 3 jobs to put myself through college. I lived in a tiny studio apartment for years to save money. I haven't taken a vacation in 5 years because I've been helping pay for James's mistakes. Now, Princess, Dad started, using that patronizing tone he always used when he thought I was being difficult. Your brother has always had bigger dreams than you. He takes risks, thinks big. Sometimes those risks don't pay off, but that's why family sticks together. I stood up, my hands shaking. I want to talk to James. Where is he? Another nervous glance between them. He's meeting with potential investors, Mom said. He's very busy with a new venture. On a Sunday afternoon, I pulled out my phone. Fine, I'll call him myself. He's changed his number, Dad said quickly. For security reasons, business privacy, you understand. That was the moment, the exact moment when everything clicked into place. The nervous glances, the vague explanations, James's mysterious absence and new phone number. I'd seen the same patterns at work when reviewing suspicious financial transactions. I need time to think about this, I said, gathering my purse. I'll let you know my decision tomorrow. But Sarah, Mom started. Tomorrow, I said firmly, heading for the door. I drove straight to my apartment, my mind racing. Instead of going inside, I sat in my car, opened my laptop, and logged into my banking app. For the past year, I've been tracking every loan they'd asked for, every emergency transfer, every rushed payment. The spreadsheet told a story, one that made my stomach turn. The transfers always happened late at night or early in the morning. Always to James' account, which would be emptied within hours. Always followed by a week or 2 of silence before another emergency arose. I pulled up my calendar, checking dates against the transfers. A pattern emerged. Every major withdrawal corresponded with big poker tournaments at the Golden Sands Casino downtown. The same casino where I'd seen James's car parked multiple times when he was supposedly at business meetings. My hands were steady as I picked up my phone and dialed the casino's security office. Working in financial fraud analysis had its advantages. I knew exactly what questions to ask and who to ask them to. "This is Sarah Mitchell from Morton and Reed's Financial Crimes Unit," I said, using my work title. "I'm investigating a series of suspicious transactions linked to your establishment. I need to verify some footage from your gaming floor." 2 hours later, I had what I needed. Security camera footage, transaction records, and witness statements all told the same story. James wasn't starting a business. He wasn't meeting investors. He was gambling away every cent our family had. And now he'd set his sights on my savings. I spent the rest of the evening preparing, downloading files, saving screenshots, organizing evidence. By midnight, I had a complete record of James's gambling addiction and our parents' enavelment. Every loan, every lie, every manipulation, documented and dated. As I finally went to bed that night, my phone buzzed with a text from Mom. "We need your answer first thing tomorrow. Family comes first, Sarah. Don't let us down." I smiled grimly in the darkness. Yes, family comes first. But it was time for them to learn that I was family too, and I wouldn't let them destroy my life to enable James' addiction anymore. Tomorrow would change everything. And for once, I was ready for it. Monday morning dawned bright and cold. I barely slept, but adrenaline kept me sharp as I prepared for the meeting ahead. I dressed carefully, charcoal pantsuit, pearl earrings, hair pulled back in a professional bun. Not the docile daughter they expected, but the financial analyst I'd become. My phone had 12 missed calls, 8 from Mom, 3 from Dad, and 1 from an unknown number I assumed was James using another burner phone. I ignored them all. At precisely 9:00 a.m., I walked into Golden Sands Casino, nodding to the security chief I'd spoken with yesterday. "Everything ready?" I asked. "Just as you requested, Ms. Mitchell," he confirmed, handing me a sealed envelope. "The footage is timestamped and verified. Our legal team has included their statement as well." By 10:00 a.m., I was at Morton and Reed, meeting with my supervisor, Victoria. "Are you sure about this, Sarah?" she asked, reviewing the documents I prepared. "Whistleblowing on your own family, there's no going back." "They gave me no choice," I replied. "The money they're trying to take, it's not just my savings. It's client investment funds I have access to through my position here. They're trying to pressure me into committing fraud." Victoria's face hardened. She'd built her career fighting financial fraud, and the mere suggestion of it in her department made her blood boil. "You have my full support. I'll have legal draw up the protective order immediately." At 11:30 a.m., my parents' increasingly frantic texts reached a crescendo. "Mom, where are you? We're all waiting." "Dad, Princess, your brother needs an answer now." "Mom, his investors are waiting. Don't ruin this opportunity." "Dad, we're coming to your office if we don't hear from you by noon." Perfect. They'd taken the bait. At 11:55 a.m., I watched through my office window as they stormed into the building lobby. Mom, Dad, and there he was, James himself. He looked terrible. Unshaven, clothes wrinkled, dark circles under his eyes. Classic signs of a gambling binge. I met them in the conference room, where Victoria and our legal team were already waiting. Finally, Mom explained. "Sarah, you're being ridiculous. Just sign the papers so your brother can." "Sit down," I interrupted quietly. "All of you." Something in my tone made them obey. Even James, who usually talked over me, sank into a chair without protest. "I have some footage I'd like you to watch," I said, nodding to Victoria, who started the projection. The casino security video was crystal clear. There was James, night after night, losing thousands at the poker tables, getting drunk, begging for credit, starting fights when he lost. The timestamps matched perfectly with every emergency loan they demanded from me. "Turn it off," James muttered, his face ashen. "You don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly," I continued, my voice steady. "I understand that you've lost over $200,000 gambling in the past year alone. I understand that $50,000 of that was my money, given under false pretenses, and I understand that you plan to take my entire savings, including client funds I have access to through my job, to chase your losses. It's not like that, Mom protested. He just needs. Mrs. Mitchell, Victoria cut in sharply. Your son has a documented gambling addiction, and you and your husband have been actively helping him target your daughter's assets, including attempting to pressure her into misappropriating client funds. Do you understand the legal implications of that? Dad's face went red. Now see here, this is a family matter. Not anymore, I said, sliding 3 documents across the table. This is a restraining order, preventing all of you from contacting me or coming to my workplace. This is a formal fraud complaint detailing every penny James has taken under false pretenses. And this, I pushed the final paper forward, is a letter to the Gambling Commission, reporting James for breaching his voluntary exclusion agreement from last year. The silence in the room was deafening. You can't do this, James whispered. We're family. Family? I stood up slowly. Family doesn't empty their daughter's bank account to enable an addiction. Family doesn't threaten and manipulate. Family doesn't try to force someone to commit fraud. But where will he go? What will he do? Mom was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. There's a bed reserved at New Horizons Recovery Center, I said, my voice softening slightly. A good program, fully paid for. It's your choice, James. Get help or face fraud charges. Those are your only options now. James slumped in his chair, all his bravado gone. I need help, he whispered. Dad stood up, his face purple with rage. You ungrateful. Mr. Mitchell, Victoria interrupted. I suggest you leave now, before we add workplace harassment to the complaints. I watched as security escorted them out, my heart pounding but my hands steady. Through the glass walls, I saw Mom turn back, her face a mixture of anger and disbelief. She mouthed something that looked like, how could you? I touched the pearl earrings, not the ones they'd given me, but the ones I'd bought myself after my first promotion. How could I not? I whispered back. Victoria squeezed my shoulder. You did the right thing. It won't feel like it for a while, but you did. That evening I sat alone in my apartment, looking at my phone. The family photos were still there. Holidays, birthdays, celebrations. All those moments when I thought love meant letting yourself be used. With steady fingers, I deleted them one by one. Then I opened my banking app and looked at my savings account, still intact, still mine. The money I'd worked so hard for, protected at last. It wasn't just about the money, though. It was about breaking free from the golden child's shadow, about standing up for myself, about redefining what family really means. I poured myself a glass of wine and stepped out onto my balcony. The city lights sparkled below, and for the first time in years, I felt light. Free. The guilt they'd layered on me for so long was dissolving, replaced by something stronger, self-respect. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You'll regret this. Family is forever. I blocked the number without replying. Some families are forever. But some need to end so something healthier can begin. Tomorrow, I would start looking for a therapist. I would learn to set boundaries without guilt. I would build a new kind of family, one based on respect and genuine love, not manipulation and enavelment. But tonight, I just stood there, sipping my wine, watching the city lights twinkle like stars. Silent. Strong. Free. The first week after the confrontation passed in a blur of legal meetings and sleepless nights. James checked into New Horizons Recovery Center, not because he wanted to, but because his only other option was facing fraud charges. Mom and Dad, however, weren't going down without a fight. It started with the flying monkeys, distant relatives and family friends suddenly calling with guilt trips and veiled threats. Your mother hasn't eaten in days, Aunt Patricia claimed. Is this how you repay them for raising you? Your father's blood pressure is through the roof, Uncle Steve warned. If anything happens to him, it's on your conscience. I blocked each number methodically, like pulling weeds from a garden, but some calls I couldn't ignore. Ms. Mitchell? It was Officer Torres from the local police department. We've had a report of stolen property from your parents' residence. They're claiming you took family heirlooms worth substantial amounts. I smiled grimly. Officer, I have security camera footage of every time I've visited their house in the past year. I also have dated, photographed receipts for every item I own that could be considered valuable. Would you like me to send those to you? There was a pause. That won't be necessary. We'll mark this as an unfounded complaint. The next day, HR called me into their office. Someone had sent an anonymous email claiming I was stealing from client accounts. Thanks to Victoria's foresight in documenting everything, that accusation died quickly. Your parents are getting desperate, my therapist, Dr. Kane, observed during our second session. They're trying to regain control using every tool they have. I know, I sighed, twisting a tissue in my hands. But what hurts most is realizing they care more about controlling me than loving me. That's a powerful insight, she nodded. How are you coping with the isolation? The truth was, removing my family had revealed just how much of my life they consumed. Every weekend had been family obligations. Every evening filled with crisis calls. Every vacation spent solving James's latest disaster. Now, in the quiet of my freedom, I had to learn who Sarah really was. I started small. One Saturday, instead of driving to my parents' house for the usual family dinner, I took a painting class. My first attempt at a sunset looked more like a tragic accident involving orange juice, but I felt a spark of joy I hadn't experienced in years. The next week, I joined a hiking group. As we climbed to a scenic overlook, one of the other hikers, a woman named Diana, asked why I joined. I'm rewriting my story, I said, surprising myself with the honesty. Learning who I am without the weight of other people's expectations. Diana, I learned, had escaped an abusive marriage 5 years ago. The hardest part, she said as we shared trail mix at the summit, is learning to trust your own judgment again, to believe you deserve peace. She was right. Every morning, I still woke up fighting the urge to check on my family. Was James still in rehab? Were my parents okay? The guilt would creep in, insidious as fog, until I reminded myself that their problems were not my responsibility. Then came the letter from my parents' lawyer. They're suing for grandparents' rights, Victoria said incredulously, reading the document. Sarah, you don't have children. I would have laughed if it wasn't so sad. They're trying to establish a legal precedent, I explained. If they can get the court to acknowledge any kind of familial right to access, they'll use it as leverage. It won't work, Victoria assured me. But it shows how desperate they're getting. That desperation reached new heights when I arrived at work one morning to find my mother in the lobby, clutching a photo album. Please, she begged as security approached. Just look at these pictures. Remember how happy we were? The photos she held out showed carefully curated moments, Christmas mornings, birthday parties, family vacations. What they didn't show were the tears after each loan to James, the sleepless nights working overtime to replace my drained savings, the panic attacks before every family gathering. Ma'am, the security guard said firmly, you need to leave. I'm her mother, she cried, her voice rising. She's destroying our family. As they escorted her out, I noticed my coworkers watching, not with judgment, as I'd feared, but with understanding. Later that day, I found a card on my desk signed by my entire team. Stay strong. We've got your back. That evening, I received an unexpected call from James's counselor at New Horizons. Your brother asked me to pass along a message, she said. He's completed his first month of treatment and has begun to understand the damage his addiction caused. He says he's sorry. I felt tears prick my eyes. Thank you for letting me know, but I'm not ready to talk to him. That's perfectly valid, she assured me. Recovery isn't just for the addict. It's also for the family members who enabled and those who were hurt. Take all the time you need. As I ended the call, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. My father, using yet another new phone. You've made your point. Now stop this nonsense and come home. Family is all we have. I stared at the message for a long moment before typing my response. You're right, family is precious. That's why I won't help destroy it anymore. Get help, learn boundaries, and maybe someday we can build something healthier. Until then, goodbye. I blocked the number and turned off my phone. Outside my window, the city was coming alive with evening light. Somewhere out there, my parents were probably already planning their next attempt to regain control. James was facing his demons in rehab. The family I knew was shattering. But as I watched the sunset paint the sky in shades of hope, I felt at peace. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for your family is to stop enabling their destruction, even if they hate you for it. 6 months after I cut ties with my family, I received an unexpected email from New Horizons Recovery Center. James had completed his program and, as part of his recovery, had written me a letter. Did I want to read it? I sat with that decision for 3 days. Dr. Kane and I discussed it during our weekly session. Whatever you choose, she said, make sure you're doing it for yourself, not out of obligation. Finally, on a quiet Sunday morning, I opened the email. Dear Sarah, I've written and rewritten this letter 100 times. Nothing sounds right. How do you apologize for years of manipulation, for taking advantage of someone's love until it breaks? The counselors here helped me understand what I did to you, not just the money, but the emotional blackmail, making you responsible for my addiction, letting mom and dad guilt you into enabling me. I'm not asking for forgiveness or reconciliation. You don't owe me either. I just want you to know that you were right about everything, and your strength in standing up to all of us probably saved my life. Mom and dad visited last week. They're still in denial, still talking about the family business venture will start once I'm out. They don't understand that the greatest gift you gave me was consequences. Take care of yourself, Sarah. You deserved better than the brother I was. James had closed my laptop and walked to my balcony, my thinking spot these days. The letter felt genuine, but I'd learned to trust actions over words. My phone buzzed with a text from Diana, my hiking friend. Trail time? The autumn colors are perfect today. In the 6 months since the confrontation, I'd built a new kind of family. Diana and our hiking group, my coworkers who'd become friends, even my neighbor, Mrs. Chen, who taught me to make dumplings and never asked why I spent holidays alone. On my way, I texted back. Later that afternoon, as we rested at our favorite overlook spot, Diana noticed my contemplative mood. Family stuff? She asked. I showed her James's letter. Are you going to respond? I watched a leaf spiral down from a nearby maple tree. Not yet. Maybe someday. But right now, I'm still learning who I am without them. That evening, I did something I've been putting off for months. I logged into my investment account and looked at my savings, no longer drained by constant emergencies. The number made me smile. By the end of the year, I'd have enough for a down payment on my own house. My phone lit up with a notification. Someone had tagged me in a social media post. It was my mother, sharing an old family photo. Missing my daughter. Praying she remembers what family means. 3 months ago, that post would have sent me into a spiral of guilt. Now, I simply unfollowed her account. My worth wasn't determined by their narrative anymore. The next morning, Victoria called me into her office. The London position, she said without preamble. Are you still interested? I caught my breath. Leading our firm's new UK division, it was a dream opportunity I'd dismissed months ago because my family needed me nearby. The position is yours if you want it, Victoria continued. You've more than proven yourself this year. I thought about James's letter, about my mother's social media guilt trips, about the life I was building for myself. Yes, I said firmly, I want it. That night, I wrote in my journal, a habit Dr. Kane had encouraged. 6 months ago, my family thought they could force me to hand over my savings to enable addiction and dysfunction. They thought love meant sacrificing everything, including myself. They were wrong. My power move wasn't just about protecting my money. It was about reclaiming my life, my right to set boundaries, my right to say no, my right to put myself first. Maybe someday, if they do the hard work of changing, we can build a new kind of relationship. But it will be on equal ground with respect and boundaries. Until then, I'm creating my own story. And for the first time in my life, I'm the hero of it, not the sacrifice. I closed my journal and looked out at the city lights. In 3 months, I'd be seeing a different skyline from a London apartment, starting fresh, building a life on my own terms. My phone buzzed one last time, a final attempt from my father's new number. Family is forever, Princess. I smiled as I blocked the number. He was right, in a way. Family is forever. But sometimes the family you need to put first is yourself. And that's a lesson worth every penny it costs to learn.